Doing yard and garden work is considered fun or recreation by most people, but it does involve work. And by work, I mean using our bodies, such as bending, stooping, lifting, carrying, doing repetitive motions, such as pruning or hand thinning, twisting. Okay, when we're doing these things, which are all involved with gardening, we're working. And if you use the wrong tool, you overdo it, or you use poor body mechanics, and by that I mean improper posture, it can result in injuries. So I'm going to share with you some ways to use some common tools correctly to prevent injuries. But before I do that, remember you need to stay in shape, because well-toned muscles are less prone to injury than poorly toned muscles. And then before you start gardening, make sure you warm up your muscles and stretch first. Okay, we all use long-handled tools, so here's some pointers for using some long-handled tools correctly. First of all, buy the tool yourself to make sure the handle is long enough for you. Having a long handle allows us to keep more of an erect posture, okay? So for example, this is incorrect, bending over, being able to have a long enough handle, and this one's even a little too short for me, so that you can work from more of an upright position. Now, if you're wondering what this handle is, this just gives us, it's a D handle that you can attach to tools, give you a little bit more leverage, and again, helps you to stay in more of an upright position. So instead of doing this, I'm able to do this. And this is just another example. It's called a T handle. It's another example, even though it's on the wrong location here. So remember, this is don't, and this is do. Keeping that back in an upright position. And don't overextend yourself. And anytime you overextend yourself, you increase the chance of an injury. Now let's talk about using some small hand tools. Usually when we're using small hand tools, we're bent close to the ground. So remember to go down on one knee and not bend over with your knees locked, or you could injure your back. A couple of key points when using small handled tools is that we're using our wrist and our forearm and even our elbows. So you want to try to keep your wrist in as neutral a position as possible, and such as like this, rather than bent. Okay? And when you're doing the work, try to use a neutral motion. So use your whole arm rather than just using your wrist, where you're bending it up and down, up and down. There's even some tools that can help keep our wrists in a neutral position. This is an ergonomic gardening tool. It has a little notch here to give us a little more leverage, and a flat area to put our thumb, again, which helps us to keep that wrist in more of a neutral motion while we're gardening. And then use your whole arm. These are kind of some interesting tools that are on the market. Again, it helps us to keep that wrist in a neutral motion as we're doing our gardening. The other thing when selecting your hand tools is to make sure you have a kind of a non-slip, soft handle, so you don't have to grasp so tightly. You use a squeezing grasp, or even if the handle's too small. This one's fairly small, so if it didn't have this other, that little notch in the flat area, I might have a tendency to squeeze too hard and maybe lead to an injury. What you can do, a secret you can do to make the handle soft and non-slip, is to add a crutch handle grip to your handle. And this is great. It enlarges that handle, it makes it softer, and you don't have such a tight squeezing grasp. And this is a great idea, especially for people with arthritis, but anybody can use it to help prevent an injury. Okay, here's some points that you need to keep in mind to summarize. When you buy a long-handled tool, make sure the handle is long enough to reduce bending when you're using it. And if need be, you can add some special attachments like a D handle or a T-bar, and keep your posture as straight as possible. When using small tools, again, keep your wrist in a neutral position. Try to reduce as much twisting motion as you can of the wrist and even the forearm, and use your whole arm whenever possible. And the handle itself should be non-slip and fairly soft, and if need be, you can help your tools to be that way by adding something such as a crutch handle grip.